Hello, I'm Sam, and I'm drawn to the eerie, the forgotten, and the unexplained. Tonight, we step into a place that feels like it's been ripped from the pages of a horror story. A town consumed by fire, abandoned in fear, and still smoldering beneath our feet. This isn't some distant mythical land. It's right here, in the heart of America. A place where the earth itself seems alive, restless, and angry. A town where the past refuses to fade, where the ground breathes smoke, and where the shadows feel heavier than they should. Welcome to Centralia, Pennsylvania. But is it just the fire that lingers? Or is there something else, something darker, hiding in the haze? The drive to Centralia begins like any other journey through rural Pennsylvania. Rolling hills stretch out like a patchwork quilt, dotted with forests so dense they seem to swallow the sunlight. Small, weathered homes peek out from behind the trees, their porches adorned with rocking chairs and flower pots. It's the kind of place where time feels slower, where life moves at its own pace. But as you inch closer to Centralia, the scenery shifts. The homes grow sparse, their windows dark and lifeless. Overgrown lawns spill onto cracked sidewalks, and trees twist their roots through the pavement, reclaiming the land with a quiet determination. It's as if nature itself is erasing the town, piece by piece, from the map. And then, you see the roads. They buckle and warp, as though something beneath the surface is pushing, straining to break free. Cracks spiderweb across the asphalt, some so wide you could lose a shoe in them. And from those cracks, smoke. Thin, ghostly tendrils rise into the air, curling and twisting like they're alive. It's silent, almost peaceful, but there's something unsettling about it, something unnatural. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel safe. It feels like the town itself is watching. Before the fire, Centralia was just like any other small American town. In the early 1960s, it was a thriving coal mining community, a place where families had lived for generations. The kind of town where everyone knew your name, where neighbors waved as they passed by, and where kids played in the streets until the sun dipped below the horizon. Main Street was alive with the hum of small businesses, a grocery store, a diner, a barbershop. Life here was simple, predictable, and comforting. But beneath that quiet surface, something dangerous was stirring. In May of 1962, the town held a routine trash burning in the local landfill. It was a common practice, a way to clear out the waste. But this time, something went wrong. The fire found a crack in the earth, a tiny seam that led straight into the labyrinth of abandoned coal mines beneath Centralia. At first, no one thought much of it. Coal fires weren't uncommon in this part of the country. They'd smolder for a while, then burn themselves out. But this fire didn't die. Days turned into weeks, and the smoke kept coming. It wasn't just a wisp here and there, it was everywhere. Thick, acrid clouds filled the air, drifting through the town, seeping into homes. The fire wasn't contained. It was spreading. Imagine waking up one morning and stepping outside, only to feel the ground beneath your feet radiating heat. The air is heavy, thick with the smell of burning coal. You walk around your house and the basement feels like an oven. The walls are warm to the touch and a haze of smoke clings to every surface. This became the new reality for the people of Centralia. What started as an inconvenience quickly turned into a nightmare. Homes filled with smoke. Basements became unbearable, stifling with heat and fumes. Windows had to stay shut, but the smell of burning coal seeped in anyway. The ground itself was sick. Trees turned brown, their leaves curling and falling. Grass withered away, leaving behind barren patches of earth where nothing could grow. The fire was no longer underground. It had come for the surface. For a long time, no one wanted to believe the full scale of what was happening. This was home, after all. But everything changed on a cold February day in 1981, when 12-year-old Todd Domboski stepped into his backyard. Without warning, the ground gave way. A sinkhole, 150 feet deep, opened up beneath him, swallowing him whole. Todd barely managed to grab onto the roots of a tree, his body dangling over the abyss. His screams echoed through the air as the heat surged from below, thick with poisonous carbon monoxide. If his cousin hadn't heard him and pulled him to safety, Todd would have been lost forever, another victim claimed by the fire. After that, there was no more denying it. Centralia wasn't safe. It wasn't habitable. The government declared the town a disaster area, offering residents buyouts to leave. One by one, families packed up their lives and left everything they knew behind. Homes, memories, a lifetime, all abandoned to the flames. But not everyone was ready to leave. For some, Centralia wasn't just a town, it was a part of who they were. A few stubborn souls refused to go. They saw the smoke, felt the heat, but still stayed. To them, Centralia wasn't a disaster, it was home. People like John Lukaitis Jr., who stayed until the bitter end. He grew up in Centralia, and even after most of the residents had fled, he stayed behind, keeping his house as if the town hadn't been declared a wasteland. He mowed his lawn, tended to his garden, and raised the American flag in his yard as though nothing had changed. It was a kind of defiance, an act of loyalty to the place where he grew up. But loyalty comes at a cost. Over time, the streets of Centralia emptied, schools closed, businesses shuttered, and the post office stopped delivering mail. The town's ZIP code was revoked, wiped off the map as though it had never existed. The fire burned on, but the town was left to rot. However, the fire wasn't the only thing left behind. As the years dragged on, Centralia became more than just a town abandoned to flames. It became a place of whispers, shadows, and unease. Visitors who dared to venture into the ruins began reporting strange occurrences. At first, it was subtle, a faint hissing sound rising from the cracks in the ground, like the earth itself was exhaling. But soon, the hissing turned into something else. Whispers. Local legends began to spread. People claimed to hear voices in the smoke, disembodied murmurs that called out names or spoke in fragments of words. Some dismissed it as the wind, the natural groaning of the earth as the tunnels below shifted and collapsed. But others weren't so sure. The few who still called Centralia home spoke of shadows in the smoke, dark, flickering shapes that darted at the edges of their vision, vanishing the moment they turned to look. Some described an oppressive presence, a feeling of being watched even when they were completely alone. Then there were the stories of the miners. Long before the fire, men had died in the coal tunnels, trapped in cave-ins, their bodies never recovered. Some say their spirits still wander beneath the town, lost and restless, unable to find peace. Could it be their voices that echo in the smoke? Or is there something else haunting Centralia? Over the years, Centralia's eerie reputation has sparked countless theories. Some believe the town is cursed, that the fire has awakened something ancient, a force that refuses to let the town rest. Others call it a portal to another realm, claiming the smoke is filled with the souls of the damned, trapped in a burning underworld. Scientists, of course, have their own explanations. They estimate the fire could burn for another 250 years, slowly consuming the coal beneath the town. But science can't explain the whispers, the shadows, or the overwhelming sense of dread that clings to the place like a second skin. For those brave enough to visit Centralia today, it's an experience that lingers long after they leave. The town is a shell of its former self. Crumbling ruins, twisted streets, and plumes of smoke rising from the ground like ghostly fingers. Only a handful of homes remain, their occupants stubbornly clinging to the place they once called home. The government may have erased Centralia from the maps, but it hasn't erased it from memory. The town lives on in stories, in legends, and in the imaginations of those who walk its desolate streets. As I stand here, the ground warm beneath my feet, I can't help but wonder, what happens when a place dies, but refuses to let go? Does it become something else? Something unnatural? Centralia isn't just a town lost to fire, it's a place where the past refuses to be buried, where the ground beneath you feels alive, still burning with the anger of a town that was abandoned but never truly forgotten. Is Centralia just a burning ghost town? Or is there something else hidden in the smoke? I'll leave that up to you. As the days turned into weeks, more visitors came to Centralia, drawn by curiosity and the allure of the unknown. They wandered the deserted streets, snapping photos of the haunting landscape, capturing the surreal beauty of a town consumed by fire. The smoke still rose from the cracks in the ground, a constant reminder of the inferno that raged beneath their feet. Some visitors claimed to have experienced unsettling encounters during their explorations. A group of friends, eager to document their visit, set up camp near one of the smoke-belching cracks in the ground. As night fell, the atmosphere grew heavy with tension. The flickering flames of their campfire cast eerie shadows, and the smoke seemed to whisper secrets that were never meant to be heard. One of the friends, Emily, ventured away from the group to capture some night photos. As she wandered through the desolate streets, she felt an unnerving sensation of being watched. The air grew colder, and the hairs on the back of her neck stood on end. She turned around, only to see a dark figure standing at the edge of the smoke. The figure's eyes glowed with an unnatural light, and a sense of dread washed over her. She hurried back to the camp, her heart pounding. When she recounted her experience to her friends, they laughed it off as her imagination playing tricks. But as the night wore on, strange things began to happen. The whispers grew louder, and shadows danced just beyond the reach of the campfire's light. The group couldn't shake the feeling that they were not alone. As they huddled together, trying to make sense of the eerie occurrences, one of the friends, Jake, decided to investigate further. Armed with a flashlight, he cautiously approached one of the larger cracks in the ground. The smoke curled around him, and the whispers grew more insistent. He peered into the crack, his flashlight beam cutting through the darkness. What he saw made his blood run cold. Deep within the crack, he glimpsed the twisted faces of long-dead miners, their eyes filled with torment and despair. Their ghostly forms reached out, their mouths moving as if trying to speak. Jake stumbled back, his flashlight falling from his trembling hand. He turned and ran back to the camp, his heart racing with terror. The friends decided it was time to leave Centralia. They packed up their belongings and hurried to their car, the oppressive atmosphere weighing heavily on their minds. As they drove away, they couldn't shake the feeling that something had followed them, lurking just beyond their sight. Meanwhile, the residents who remained in Centralia continued to endure the haunting presence of the fire and the spirits it had awakened. John Lakaitis Jr. found himself facing more than just the physical dangers of the burning town. He often woke in the middle of the night to the sound of footsteps echoing through his empty home. The air grew colder, and shadows seemed to move with a life of their own. One night, as John lay in bed, he felt a crushing weight on his chest. He struggled to breathe, his heart pounding in his ears. In the darkness, he saw the figure of a miner standing at the foot of his bed, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. The miner's voice echoed in his mind, a desperate plea for release from the torment of the burning underworld. John knew he had to do something to help the restless spirits of Centralia. He began to research the town's history, uncovering stories of the miners who had perished in the tunnels long before the fire. He learned of their struggles, their sacrifices, and the hardships they had endured. With each discovery, he felt a growing sense of responsibility to honor their memory and find a way to bring them peace. Armed with this newfound knowledge, John reached out to other residents and visitors who had experienced the eerie occurrences in Centralia. Together, they formed a group dedicated to understanding the town's haunting past and finding a way to lay the spirits to rest. They conducted rituals, offered prayers, and sought the guidance of spiritual leaders. As they delved deeper into the mysteries of Centralia, they encountered resistance from unseen forces. The whispers grew louder, the shadows more menacing. It was as if the very fire that consumed the town was fighting to keep its grip on the souls trapped within its fiery embrace. One particularly chilling night, the group gathered at the site of the original landfill fire. They stood in a circle, their hands clasped together, reciting prayers and calling upon the spirits of the miners to find peace. The air grew thick with smoke, and the ground trembled beneath their feet. The whispers turned into anguished cries, and the shadows coalesced into dark, ghostly figures. As the group continued their ritual, a blinding light erupted from the center of the circle, illuminating the night sky. The cries grew louder, reaching a fever pitch, before abruptly falling silent. The shadows dissipated, and the oppressive atmosphere seemed to lift, replaced by an eerie calm. In the aftermath of the ritual, the group noticed a change in Centralia. The smoke still rose from the cracks in the ground, but the whispers had ceased, and the shadows no longer haunted their every step. It was as if the spirits of the miners had finally found some semblance of peace. John and the group continued their efforts, documenting their findings and sharing the stories of Centralia's haunted past with the world. They hoped that by shining a light on the town's tragic history, they could prevent others from suffering the same fate and honor the memory of those who had perished. As Centralia slowly faded from the public consciousness, the town remained a place of mystery and intrigue for those who dared to visit. The stories of the haunted, burning town persisted, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit and the mysteries that lie just beneath the surface. And so, the tale of Centralia lives on, a chilling reminder of the past and a warning for the future. The town may be forgotten by many, but for those who know its history, it will forever be a place where the line between the living and the dead is blurred, and where the echoes of the past continue to whisper in the smoke. If you've been captivated by the haunting tale of Centralia, I invite you to dive deeper into the world of forgotten places and untold stories. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more spine-chilling adventures. Your comments and thoughts are always welcome, so share what you think about Centralia and its eerie mysteries. Together, we'll continue to explore the unknown and uncover the secrets that lie hidden in the shadows. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.